Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's session on studying medicine and life studying medicine in the Caribbean and the US. We have Dr. Jeff and our existing students from Texila American University. Dr. Jeff is an experienced associate professor with a demonstrated history of working in the education management industry. He is skilled in histology, clinical pathology, cancer research, laboratory medicine, and healthcare. Strong healthcare services professional with a fellowship focused in bone and soft tissue from the University of California in Los Angeles. He is also the dean of Texila, and he will take you through what life is like studying medicine in the US. I'm going to hand over the control to Dr. Jeff. He will share his presentation for today and take you through what we're going to discuss today. But I just want to let you guys know that you are all on mute. But if you need to ask your questions or make a comment, use the options at the bottom of your screen. So you will see the chat and the question and answer button. So please feel free to use those options to ask any question throughout the session, and we will answer your questions. Thanks.
Okay, so I'm with two of my students, Naharika and Christina. Okay, they're both MD1s under the MD2s under the Ponce curriculum, and later on they'll be answering some questions that may be thrown at them concerning what it's like to be here in Texila, first-hand information. So, hi everyone, I'm Dr. Antonio. Okay, I'm presently the sitting dean at the College of Medicine here in Guyana, Texila American University. Okay, I'm actually a pathologist. Okay, so I'm not so much into credentials because I think that in life, okay, it's the actions that define the man rather than the titles. Okay, so let's get started, shall we? So the key agenda we have here is life in the Caribbean. Okay, and we shall also be talking about the established medical colleges in the Caribbean. Okay, other medical colleges were obviously not the only one. Okay, we'll touch a little on the eligibility in the Caribbean medical schools, understanding the program structure we have here, as well as the all-important USMLE preparations, okay? Because as I think most of you will know that there are clinical rotations in the States as well as here in Guyana itself. We'll also be touching on living the hostel life because we have a great hostel here in Guyana. It's brand new, okay? It's very secure, and we also talk about the scheduling. Okay, you'll converse with the available alumni that we have, and we'll likewise be taking on questions and answers. So, life in the Caribbean. What is it like living in the Caribbean? Okay, to tell you guys frankly, I had a successful practice. Okay, I did some practice in the States. I was a practicing clinician in Australia, in the Philippines. Did some time in Singapore, Thailand, and all the Asian countries, aside from my own country, and it was a rat race. And what attracted me most about Guyana was it being in the Caribbean. So, what is the Caribbean? This is actually a region, okay, in the South Atlantic, okay, very near. We call it the Caribbean Sea. Okay, now it's composed of hundreds of islands, around 700 plus, okay, which includes some reefs and some cays. And as the name suggests, it is in the Caribbean seas. So if you know a little about history, about Pirates of the Caribbean, this is where it all started. As you know, this region was rich in natural resources way back in the 1500s. There was a galleon trade from Spain, okay, bringing in gold, bringing in all sorts of goods coming from the New World, which was this, okay, going to Europe. And sooner or later, you know, Great Britain got into the game as well as the Dutch. Okay, they're also here, the French. Okay, so what we have here, okay, is a region that is very, very rich in history. So we have English-speaking people here, we have Spanish-speaking people, we have French-speaking people. Okay, and it's virtually a melting pot. So the countries here, okay, and it's not in any particular order, okay. There's Cuba, we have Guyana, the Dominican Republic, Antigua, Barbados, Colombia, okay, Jamaica, Nicaragua. Nicaragua is actually in Central America. However, it can still be considered as part of the Caribbean, since if you know the small isthmus that you see here, if you guys can see my arrow at the map, okay, that's actually Central America, but as you can see, it also borders the Caribbean Sea. Okay, we have St. Lucia, beautiful there, Trinidad and Tobago. We also have St. Kitts and Nevis, Bermuda, St. Martin, Cayman Islands, Puerto Rico, and of course the Bahamas. Okay, there's a lot more. Okay, so it is a beautiful, tranquil region. And as you can see, the beaches are beautiful. It's that white sand. It is very powdery. The reefs are beautiful. And if you love scuba diving, it is the place to be. Okay, so it is away from the rat race. Okay, so it's unspoilt, and there's virtually no pollution. Back in my own country, I'd have asthmatic attacks every day. Ever since I came to Guyana, I had a couple. That's when I caught Sakti smoking. Okay, but ever since then, I've never had any. So the climate is pleasant. It's unlike out there in the temperate regions where you have to deal with the snow, you have to deal with -40 temperatures. Okay, and it's unlike Southeast Asia where you have, what do we have there? We have monsoons with typhoons. Okay, those are hurricanes, as the people in India would know. Okay, we also have earthquakes. Here in Guyana, we have none of that. Okay, we have no natural disasters. Okay, and the climate itself, it is generally tropical. We have two wet seasons, although the rains are, it'll rain for a couple of hours and then it'll stop. And the weather, although it's tropical, it's very breezy, so you don't really feel the humidity. Language-wise, okay, here in Guyana, it is an English-speaking country. Okay, most islands would be. Okay, however, we will also see the Dutch here and the Spanish. Okay, especially in Venezuela, okay, Central America, Colombia, all of these would be Spanish-speaking countries. Brazil is actually Portuguese, okay, but that's another story altogether. Now, the beaches we have here are some of the best beaches in the world. I come from a country with beautiful beaches, and I tell you, the Caribbean, it rivals that of the Philippines. I love going to the beach. Okay? The people here are very amicable. Okay, the Caribbean people are very friendly. They are very outgoing. What you see is actually what you get. I am just totally enjoying myself in this country, and some of the places I've been to that I would love to go back to. In fact, I love it here so much that I brought my wife along. Okay, I am now on my 3rd year. The cost of living, when compared to other regions of the world, it is much lesser. Okay, than the developed countries that we are in. I know for a fact that it's much lesser here than in my own country. Okay. And education-wise, I think this is what everyone would be most interested in. Okay, there is the higher education we have here is of high quality and high standards. They have their very own accreditation entities here, and it is world class. Okay, so the level of colleges are at par with the other countries. As for the jobs, most of the economy here, most especially in Guyana, it is an emerging type of economy. They are actually oil rich. They will start pumping oil very soon. Okay, and we should start seeing Guyana just shoot up to the top of the list within the next 5 years. So there is an emerging economy with increasing job opportunities. As oil companies and other foreign companies, local companies, they're setting up here like crazy. So that's all about life in the Caribbean. It is idyllic. It is tranquil. It's not the hustle bustle of the big city. And actually that all translates to, okay, a more focused type of education. And believe me, you would need a lot of focus when you are in medicine. Okay, so let's talk about some of the best places to study medicine. Okay, so what you see here in the picture, this is actually a facade of Texila American University. Okay, if you guys can take note of the arrow. And actually behind that, there's another building around the size of this. Okay, this is I think we are 6,500 to 7,000 capacity. Okay, we're not even half of that yet. We believe in over design, and we are very optimistic about increasing enrollments. And even our campus, okay, it is only the entire land area of the campus. It is only half filled. So take note. This would act as a disclaimer to you future doctors out there. Life in any medical college is never easy. And I think that Catherine and Harika or Nikki can very well attest to that. I've seen them there since PM1, PM all the way up to where they are now at ND2. And I think they will best remember this line that I'm always being quoted for. There will always be too much to study and too little time. It's been like that since the inception of structured medical colleges. So you can blame the guys in the 1930s with this, but it's true that there, as the years go by, more and more information come into play. Okay, so hence this is a law that will always be there. You can quote this as Antonio's law. There will always be too much to study and too little time. This entails long hours in the classrooms, in the lab, okay, not to mention your clinics, okay, from your clinical rotations, your course, surgery, internal medicine, peds, OBGYN, psychiatry, all of these are quite toxic. This is the path to becoming a certified or a licensed physician. It has its own ups and downs, but believe me, okay, nothing compares to the feeling of seeing someone who comes into you sick, unable to walk, okay, at the point of death, and then him walking home, you sending him home. Okay, the reward of seeing him walk out of that door to go on through life and support his family is actually enough. So now you may ask, what is it in the Caribbean? Why would you like to study medicine in the Caribbean? Okay, so this is a hot area that has become an alternative place to studying medicine aside from the US and the UK. This is because of its proximity to both countries. So the United States to in Florida, it's a short 3 hour flight, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, and there are 60 plus medical college that is listed in the IMEN. Okay, of course, the Caribbean as a whole is English speaking, so the programs are all delivered in English. So when it comes to international students, they will find it easy to adapt and easy to understand. And they can integrate into the system very quickly. The next would be perhaps one of the most important. It is affordable. Yes, it says there between 100,000 to 220 with scholarship options. Now, just because it is affordable, it does not mean it lacks in quality. Okay, so we have a very favorable admission criteria and process. Okay, MCAT scores are optional. The curriculum is mapped to the U.S. medical colleges as outlined by the ECFMG. Okay. So the curriculum, since it is mapped across the medical colleges, the USMLE training is inherent when you do enroll into the curriculum. Of course, there are clinical training options both in the USA and the Canada, as well as other countries. Aside from that, okay, we have a very diverse student groups from across all nations, coming from the US, Middle East, Asia, Caribbean, and sooner or later we may even see polar bears. That's from the North Pole. I'm kidding. So here are just some of the medical schools that may be found in the Caribbean. Now, it would be unfair to say that we are the only excellent school in the area. However, we are the only medical school with a great-looking dean. That's me. I don't know about St. George's. I haven't seen their dean yet, but I'm bold enough to say that. Okay, kidding aside. Okay, let's start. Okay, St. George's, you probably know, would be perhaps the most famous of all. okay, and as well as Ross University, okay, AUC Medical School, Xavier's there, even Saba and your AIM, or your American International Medical University. All of these, okay, more or less offer the same program, okay, in a nutshell. However, there are advantages and disadvantages as we will see later on. Okay, so it is actually the choice of your medical school. This choice would impact your life. Likewise, it will impact your education. Take note that 60 medical colleges in the Caribbean are IMED approved. Several are not. So before accepting any offer and joining any college, one should ask, what next? What happens after I enroll? What happens after I graduate? Okay, so you should always look into several things. Like for example, okay, accreditation, memberships, faculty to alumni ratio, faculty to student ratio, the all important infrastructure, your placement assistance. Where will you be taking your clinical rotations? Okay, as I've said, your life will be vastly shaped by the choice of the medical school that you will be going in. So stay away from the honey traps. Okay, the honey trap, this is a sort of plant, okay, and it's a plant. It's also called a pitcher plant. So it's shaped like a pitcher, and inside there's a sweet tasting liquid produced by this plant. And what it does is it attracts all sorts of innocent insects in there. So if you're fooled by the sweet offering that it has, it'll suck you in and it will eat you alive. So honey trap really isn't any fun. Okay, so how do you go around choosing a medical school? The first thing you should ask that certain school, okay, is what accreditations and membership does this university or college have? So one of the most important would be the CAM-HP. So the CAM-HP is a standard that is being followed here in the Caribbean. It is directly based on the US standard called the LCME. Okay. Now, the ECFMG, that is an organization in the States, okay? They're also the ones who outlined the LCME, okay? And they said that if you are going to send a student to us, and since we are in the same region, okay, what you should do is your curriculum should closely follow that of North America. Okay, so that's how the birth of CAM-HP came along. So CAM-HP is actually a direct offshoot of the LCME, and it is recognized, okay, by the ECFMG. Later on, okay, I know you have questions of what all these initials are all about. Just please go ahead and take notes, and I encourage you to go online to find out for yourselves, okay, what this CAM-HP is and what this ECFMG is all about. Okay, because you also need to do groundwork on your own. I'm not going to feed you everything. You are thinking students. I know that because you want to become doctors, right? Now, the second is the program affordable? Are the scholarship options available? Okay. How detailed is the application process? Check it online, okay, or for the GPA needs scores of the exams that you need to get in. And perhaps one of the most important is what percentage of the students pass the USMLE? What are the scores like? Okay, later on we will see how important the USMLE is. Now, the scores, you may pass it, but here in Texila and in any good medical university, passing isn't the goal. The goal here is to excel. It's because in excelling and getting sky-high USMLE scores, okay, you would be increasing your likelihood into getting into programs in the United States and Canada. Okay, this is actually what defines, okay, your entry into these countries. Lastly, is what is the program like? Okay, what is it based on? Where do the students complete their clinical rotations? Oh, I'm sorry, there's another slide on how to choose medical schools. Okay. How well do students fare during residency placement? Meaning to say, if you graduate from, for example, St. George, were you able to finish your residency training in surgery, for example? Okay. Are there any alumni present? Now, this is simple. It's because if there is alumni means someone who graduated from the institute. Okay. If there's a lot of alumni, it means to say it's not a diploma mill. It's something that is legit. It means to say they are churning out graduates, quality graduates, that is. Okay. What kind of faculty are teaching there? What are their credentials? What is the student-faculty ratio? Okay. What about infrastructure? Now, a lot of institutions that seem shadowy, okay, they will not, okay, they will only take pictures at certain angles, maybe do a little Photoshop, okay, to tell you, yeah, this is our institution, okay, but you would hardly see any one of the shadow universities go out and take a drone picture or a live video of what the infrastructure is all about. Okay, so if I were you, look into these videos rather than pictures. Okay, because the pictures can speak 1,000 words. Videos, okay, that's like the entire internet information, okay, that is available to you. So videos would tell you a lot about the institution itself. Okay. What are the scope for personal development and extracurricular activities that are available to the students? Okay, because we believe in producing a well-rounded graduate. Okay, so there should be extracurricular activities like, for example, hanging out at the snooker tables, or just hanging out in the lounge, maybe playing some cricket, some basketball. Okay, all work and no play makes a dull life, and it would actually relieve stress each time you do have some extracurricular activities. Okay, and lastly, what about the other students? What do they say about the college? Now, take note that in any institution, okay, no matter how good it is, you will always get a certain subset of students who are disgruntled. It's called life. You cannot please everyone. So if you do hear something negative, please go ahead and ask some more students. Okay, and take it with a pinch of salt. Why is it that's negative? Maybe they were kicked out, for example. Okay.
Dr. Jeff, sorry to interrupt you. I think we have a few questions here from some of the participants. So I have Abhishek asking me if there is any exam to qualify for foreign students, like Indian students, to get into Texila American University. Do they have to write a separate exam?
Okay, we will get back to that later after the presentation, because you may find some of your questions may be answered in the following slides. Is that fair?
Yeah, sure.
Okay,
we
good.
also have a few more questions. Do you want me to reserve that for the end of the session?
Yes, let's just reserve that at the end of the session. So everything,
sure.
Yeah, I only have 12 more slides left. Bear with me.
Sure.
I'm sorry, 20 more slides left. Okay, so as our good student was asking, okay, what is the eligibility in Caribbean medical school? So this would also include, our institution, Texila American University. Okay, so here we have it. Okay, for our Indian students, for our American students, and also for our Caribbean, our regional students. Okay, so for students in India, you would need a senior secondary school certificate with PCB and or math. Okay, a diploma or bachelor's in science degree. Okay, if it's not a science degree, we can actually try and map it out to see where you lack, and hence advise you further on what to do. Okay, we do have a pre-med program here. We would also need your NEET score, and your IELTS and your TOEFL would actually be optional. Okay, as long as you can communicate and write in English, okay, you are good to go, because we likewise have communication and English subjects, okay, pre-med subjects here in Texila. Okay, so there's a program to help our students along those lines. Okay. Oh, let's go to the American students. I'm sorry. So for the US, you need your GPA, preferably science. Okay, an MCAT score. If you have that, that would be great. It would be much easier to place you. Also, if you have an associate degree, it means that you would go directly to our MD program. Okay, because it would act as your pre-med course. For our Caribbean students, we have your CXC, your CAPE, and a continuous education certificate is required. Okay. Now, if there are some things that I didn't cover there, since this is a presentation that deals mainly as an overview of what it's like here in the Caribbean, okay, our team, there's a team that's specialized in answering these questions more fully and in more detail. Okay, or optionally, you can directly email me. Okay, so let's take a look at the program structure in our Caribbean medical schools. Okay, so the structure varies somewhat between colleges, but more or less we all follow the same pattern. Well, especially if we are accredited with the CAMHP, the local Caribbean Accreditation Council. Okay, usual MD programs in the Caribbean varies between 4 years if you're in direct MD and 5.5 years if you need to take your pre-med. Now, of course, the cost would depend on the number of years. Okay? So the programs usually include your pre-med years. Okay, this is the foundation program. This is around 3 semesters, 1.5 years. Your preclinical years, which is 2 years here in the college, and of course your clinical rotations. Okay, and this is in the hospital. So these phases of the program is designed as such to give you the tools that you will be needing. For example, in pre-med, you will be using what you learned here in the preclinical years. And in the preclinical years, this is to prepare you for your clinical rotations. Okay, so it's a very well thought out program that is sequential in nature. Okay, so this illustrates further in a graphic form on the duration of your different phases, okay, depending on where and how you are assessed. So if you go directly into medicine, okay, which is 4 years, you would have a preclinical 2 years and a 2 years clinical rotation. Now, for your preclinical, as you can see across the board, whether it's 4.5 years and 5.5 years in duration, it's all the same. Same holds true for your clinical rotations. Okay. Now, the only difference here would really be in the duration in your pre-med years. It can be as low as 6 months. Okay. Or it may entail the entire 1.5 years if you lack certain subjects or certain requirements that the school needs academically, of course. So an example of this would be if you have an associate degree, or if you have an associate degree and it is not a science degree, okay, the arts, for example, your English, your computers, or any subjects that would fall under liberal arts, we do have certain units for that. That would be counted. However, you would need to take some natural science subjects like biology, for example. Okay, definitely you would need to take your introduction to anatomy and physiology, introduction to biochemistry. Okay, these have certain units, and we match these across to try and find out where you would fit in. Now, if you come directly from high school, okay, you would need to do a 1.5 years of pre-med course before going into your medicine proper. Okay, don't be disheartened, okay, because 1.5 years is a short time. I mean, Nikki here, Catherine, hardly felt it. All of a sudden, they found, hey, we're in medicine proper. Okay. Okay. Now, just a little more on preparing for USMLE. Why is it so important? Anyway, what is the USMLE? So it stands for United States Medical Licensing Examination. It is a 3-part test. Okay. And to elucidate further, okay, it is a 3-step program, a 3-step exam, with each complementing the other. Okay, so it assesses the physician's ability to apply knowledge, concepts, and principles, as well as skills. Okay, now it's in 3 steps because these exams are administered to check on how the physician is progressing. So, for example, step 1 would qualify you to take your clinical rotations. Step 2, this is taken at the end of or during the clinical rotations, and there's a clinical knowledge part and there's a clinical skills part. Okay, so before you graduate, okay, you should at least take the CEK, okay, the part 1 of the step 2. Now the step 3, okay, in a good amount of states, this is almost akin as the licensing step where you can go out into the world and practice as a physician. Now, this is to be taken before, okay, residency program, residency training if you're going to take it, or during residency training. But if you're not going to take residency training, you should take this, okay, before the board exams. Now, for our Indian students out there, residency training program is, I think the equivalent is the registrar. Okay, the Americans call it the residency program. So this is a postgraduate clinical training program in the hospital. For example, if you want to become a surgeon, you have to go into a surgery residency training program, and it lasts for around 4 to 5 years. Okay, so during the residency program, there are some hospitals that would require you to take the step 3 before getting in, and most, however, okay, need you to take the step 3 either into the 2nd year of your program or the 3rd year. Now, this entirely depends whether it's, for example, if it's a surgery program, if it's an IM program, etc., etc. Okay, now why is it important? Okay, for the U.S. students, for those intending to do the residency training program or practice in the USA, okay, it is mandatory to clear all 3 steps. Now, if you plan to practice in India, okay, and you clear the USMLE step 1 and step 2, okay, you can do you can practice and do your residency training program right there in India, and not only there, in most countries worldwide, because it is an accepted standard. Okay, so it is the standard that you will be taking, okay, and that you will be going into once you enroll in a Caribbean university, and it sure holds true here in Texila. Okay, later on, I will tell you about the Ponce, okay, Ponce curriculum that we have, which holds us apart from the other universities in the Caribbean. Okay, so for our Caribbean students, clearing the USMLE, okay, would enable them again to take residency program across, okay, the Caribbean, and also allows them to practice in most countries globally. Okay, now how do your colleges perform at the USMLE? Because this is like a measuring stick on how good or how bad a certain university is or might be. The Textile advantage is, as I've said, the curriculum that we have. It's not a copy, it is the American curriculum, and hence it is like one big Kaplan. Okay. Now we also have a tie-up with Kaplan, by the way. If you want to be doubly sure. Okay. Now this is taken up in the U.S., but honestly, you don't really need to. Okay, as long as you go through our system, you graduate, I think you would pass. I think I can guarantee you passing for the USMLE step 1. Okay. Now, we also have likewise a program. It's not only firecrackers anymore. We've recently tied up with the NBME. So these are the same organization that gives the USMLE. Okay, and you can actually download practice questions there. Of course, it's for a fee, but we are set up for that. Okay, so firecrackers, for all those in the US track, this comes in for free. It's a bunch of questions from the previous year of the USMLE exams. Now you ask me, why is it important? Okay, to successfully hurdle the USMLE, you should be answering around 10,000 questions per month. So that's 2005 questions a week. Okay, just practice questions, just to make sure that you're familiar with how they ask, okay, what's being asked, etc., etc. And so it's a big deal to have a subscription to a website, okay, or to an institution that offers these. Okay, now after your clinical rotations, okay, how do I get into residency training program? Now take note, when you graduate, okay, you should be equipped, okay, with the proper tools and the proper competencies to allow you to hurdle the various metrics or the exams that will tell certain hospitals or certain countries that you are indeed competent and you're indeed qualified to go into the various programs that they have or to practice in that country. Now, 90% of that, okay, no matter how good the system is, would be up to you, dear students, on how well you dedicate yourself to your studies. So taken that you gave it your 100%, okay, and that you hurdled everything successfully, not only passing it, okay, but likewise excelling in the exams, okay, you should have no problems with matching, because Texila has tie-ups with 15 hospitals. Okay, you can complete some of your clinical rotations, or all of it, in either USA or Canada. Okay. So your clinical rotations, by the way, this is as the flow goes, this is after your preclinical years. Remember, you're spending 2 years in the classroom and 2 years, okay, in the hospital. Now for residency training, okay, this is a stage of medical training. Yeah, you're actually now a licensed physician, or will be, okay, under supervision of attending physicians and consultants. It's also a formal program. Okay. Now, to practice medicine as a physician, it is mandatory to complete residency. This is partly true. This is true in some situations and in some countries. However, okay, as long as you hurdle the local board exam, you can practice medicine as a general physician, okay, or a family physician. But we encourage our students, you know, why aim low? Why not aim high? You're there anyway, so you might as well aim for the top. So we encourage each and every one of our students to take up residency training program. Now, depending on the hospital where you get in, depending what state or country you are in, okay, the stipend, the salary you receive may be up to 42,000 USD. Okay, so this may be nothing to brag about, honestly, because you'll be spending a lot in that country as well. But believe me, when you pass your residency training program and you get certified as a surgeon, as a pathologist, as a pediatrician, or any specialist, okay, you would be earning 3 times, 4 times that amount, guaranteed. Okay, but remember, medicine really isn't about what you will earn. Take note, for you to succeed in medicine, it's the will and it's the heart. Okay, you should say goodbye to your social life, actually. Okay, give your 100% all to the benefit of your fellow man. Okay, you must have the right motivation, and I'm sorry guys, it can't be money. Okay, so that just comes as a incidental reward. Believe me, the reward you will be getting is seeing someone walk off, all well and healthy. That itself is enough. I myself served so many years, almost 15 years in a government hospital, okay, just being paid a lowly wage, but I stopped there. It's because I enjoyed what I did. Okay. So again, on completion of your residency training program, you can practice globally. Okay. Now this would be country specific, because, for example, in Singapore, If you're a graduate from the US and you're a surgeon, you can directly practice there. In Australia, it's the same thing. You just need to register yourself to the local council there. Okay, they have it also statewide, and you can go ahead and practice your medicine. In the Philippines, it's a little different. Even though he's American, he still has to take the board exam. I don't know why, but it's country specific. Okay, so please check in your own countries and what the rules and regulations are. But take note, if you do graduate from a residency program in the States, you're considered world class. Okay, so now let's move on to something a little more lighter in nature. What's life? What is life in Texila like? Okay, is it all dreary? Is it all studies? Okay, happy to tell you, it's not. Guyana has a lot to offer. I still haven't explored the country. Okay, I've been here coming 3 years, and I still need to go out. So, and it's a beautiful, unspoiled country that is free from pollution, with very friendly people. So, what's the AU all about? Take note, we have 4 acres of campus. Okay, the capacity to fit almost, this 1,600 students, this is just the 2 buildings, okay? That's there. There's another 2 that'll be coming up. Okay, so we should be hitting around 6, what's this? Good Lord, math. Around 4,000 students once everything is up. Okay, this is a typo. It's not only 14 classrooms, okay, because we also have smaller study areas, SDLs, okay, that amounts up to 7. And we also have counseling, small counseling cubicles, okay, that I think downstairs there's an 8 of those there. We have a very state-of-the-art library. It's very extensive with all the medical books there. You may not find Shakespeare, and you may not find Marvel Comics or Mad Magazine, okay? It's a medical library, guys. And likewise, we have a very, very good skills room. So this is just an example. This classroom here, this can hold actually up to 100. However, as you know, we don't really fill it to capacity. Okay, we have all our processes are digital. Okay, we have on-screen projectors and the whiteboard. Okay, they're also it's also a neat little thing. Okay, our whiteboard. We draw on a very small whiteboard. This is actually projected to the screen in front of the classroom. It also has its own PA system, and all classrooms are air conditioned. Okay, and all classrooms also has security cameras, IP cameras, so you're very safe. In and around the perimeter of the school, I think there's over 120. Okay, so there's not one corner that is not being monitored by our full-time and dedicated security team. Okay, so also from the university to the hostel, there are also security escorts, okay, randomly patrolling the entire area from the university to the hostels. So again, safety is a prime concern, okay, here at Texila University. But it's not because Guyana is unsafe, it's because our students are international, and of course we value our students. As you can see here, okay, we have cultural events, we have indoor and outdoor activities. This is actually Amal. Okay, he doesn't spend his time playing pool or billiards all the time. He's actually a very good student. Okay, and this is our vice chancellor. Okay, this is Dr. Anand. Okay, with Dr. Karen Cummings. She's from the Ministry of Health here in Guyana. And this just illustrates what a typical hostel looks like. So as you can see, it's quite comfortable. You have your study table here, an optional study table here. You have your own sala set or sofa set, and the food. We have Guyanese food. There's Indian food. Okay, and there's also Western food on demand or whatever your dietary needs may be. Okay, it can be halal. And again, just a typical living the living area. It comes with a fridge, okay, cooking equipment, including a microwave. take note, there's no dishwashers. You got to do that yourself. Okay, quick poll. What's this all about? Briefing. Hello?
Yeah, we just like to conduct a polling, so we're just going to give it a minute.
Okay,
Okay.
let's give it a minute then.
We just wanted to know where different participants are from, whether they're from India or the Caribbean or the US. Okay, I think we are done, Dr. Jeff. So I'm just going to end the polling. Thanks.
Okay, great. Okay, so our next panel is meet our alumni. Okay, what do our students have to say? So I think I'll shove the camera over here, although they are strictly alumni. Okay, they are our current MD2 students going on to MD3. Okay, here is again Nikki or Niharika, and this is Catherine. So if you have any questions, you may now direct it to our students.
I think we have some questions here, Dr. Jeff. Maybe it's for you to answer, maybe some of them, and then we can let students answer the questions they can. I'm just going to go through one by one. Give me a moment. Okay. So I have, so the first question that we had was from Abhishek. He asked us if there's a separate exam to qualify for foreign students. Do they have to write an exam like the IELTS? Is there an entrance exam to?
No, there is no. There is a short entrance examination that is done online. Yes, and this examination, okay, isn't only for Indian students. It's for all students.
Okay.
Okay. So it mainly assesses your competency in the science subject and in the communication arts.
All right, I see. And we have Hannah from Chennai, I think. She wants to know if our college is recognized by the MCI, the Medical Council of India.
Okay. The status on the Medical Council of India is that all graduates from foreign universities have to take an equivalency exam. Okay. And yes, it is listed in the MCI. But if you go back to India, you will need to take the FMGE. You have to take the FMGE. So again, these are country specific. For example, in the Philippines, even if you are a US medical graduate, you still need to take the Philippine board exam. So each and every countries have their own laws and regulations. Okay, because they also have India also has a set standard, and so does the Philippines. So, is it recognized by MCI? Yes, it is listed under the MCI, but you would still need to take your qualifying examinations.
Okay, and I think Hannah wants to know about the safety in Guyana. I think you covered about this, but she wants to know the safety about the safety in Guyana. Maybe that's something that Catherine and.
Okay, so the internet is raft. It's just a lot of things there, and I find it funny. I'll put it this way. I would not bring my wife to Guyana if it wasn't safe. and, I'm staying on in Guyana because I feel safer in Guyana than in my own country or even the US. Here, we don't have drive-by shootings. Okay. Okay, so safety in Guyana, as in any country in the world, okay, there are bad elements, there are unsavory places, okay, and it's just common sense. For example, okay, I won't be caught dead walking in any city 3 a.m. in the morning drunk, for example. Okay, that is actually looking for trouble. If you're looking for trouble, you will find trouble in any country. In other words.
Okay, and I think she also wants to know how many Indian students we have at the campus.
Oh, my goodness. Catherine and Nikki are Indian. So our Indian students at the campus get numbers from 40 to 60%.
Okay, great. Do you think that's well over 100 students?
Oh, yes. Well over 100.
Okay, great. And I think I have Mighty. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing her name correctly. I think she's from South Africa. She wants to know what is the eligibility for South African students.
Okay, so for South African students, it would mirror that of almost the same as the Indian students because they're also under at one time the British standard. Okay, so it's the same. If they have an associate degree, okay, we will map across their subjects 2 hours and see what they lack. Okay, if they have an associate degree for medical sciences, for example, or natural science, they go directly to medicine, medicine proper. Okay, if they come directly from high school, they can take the 1.5 years pre-med. Okay, before going to medicine proper. I hope that answers your question.
All right, great. And I think we have Abhishek here who wants to know about the procedure to the admissions at our university, but I think I'll get one of our counselors to reach out to him.
Yes.
But we have
Yes.
Sabir Abdul Kader. He wants to know if the clinical rotations based on the USMLE score? If so, what's the minimum score needed, and what are the chances of getting clinical rotations in the US for US track students?
Okay, so for the US track students, there is a passing grade, okay, for the USMLE step 1, but okay, it would for foreign medical graduates again, you must be within the 5 to 10% tier of the upper echelons, okay, score-wise, for you to have a chance in matching for U.S. hospitals and further studies. So that's what I said. Here in Texila American University, we don't aim in just making you simply pass. You have to excel, okay? And now, take note, that holds true for every foreign medical graduate, no matter what country you're from. Okay, I myself, I needed to be in the fifth percentile, okay, to enable me to get into residency training program and fellowship program. So it is because of that experience, okay, and that knowledge that we really try our best, okay, to give our students the best training possible, okay, to help them hurdle the USMLE, not only in passing, but in excelling. Okay, that is why I said, I can guarantee you passing, but you need to do your part. You need to do your hard work. You need your dedication. Does that answer your question?
I think so, yes, thank you. And I think Hannah wants to know if she can only practice in the US, if she can only work in the US after finishing her post-graduation.
Okay. Now, technically, when you do enter residency training program, you are working in the US. Okay? So what you need to do is you need to pass a USMLE step 1 with flying colors, to get into a clinical rotations there. Take your step 2, again, within the 5th, okay, percentile, okay, high score, for you to get matched into residency training program. So take note, okay, we will be giving you the tools, the competency to take these exams, but it is up to you to move it forward. You will have the support of the school when it comes to review materials, when it comes to counseling. But as I said, you cannot magically arrive in any institution or in anywhere in life without doing your share. It is 90% your share, okay, and 10%, okay, us being behind you all the way as alumni, as your mentors, as your teachers. Did that answer the question?
Yes, thank you. And Sabir wants to know if for the US track students, will they have any restrictions in any area in the US while they're on both clinical rotations and paid residency programs? And he also wants to know if it is WDMOS approved, WDOMS approved.
What question would that be? Hang on a minute. I didn't catch it.
World Directory of Medical Schools.
I think it's the World Directory of Medical Schools. It is approved by our university. Yeah.
Yes. We are. What was the first part of the question?
The first part of the question was he wanted to know if there are going to be any restrictions while they're on their clinical rotation or paid residency.
If they make it in the US.
Yes.
Could you define restriction?
Yes.
Because obviously you can't go out and yeah, you can't. Of course, you can't deal in drugs. You can't insult Trump. Okay, you can't kill people. That's the usual, following the laws.
Okay, and I think he wants to know who will be assisting our students to get clinical rotations. I'm sorry, just give me a moment. Yes, so he wants to know who will be assisting our students to get clinical rotations in the US, the students themselves or Texila American University?
Okay, Texila will facilitate and assist in placing placing our students in the clinical rotations. So we can go about it in 4 ways. Number 1, okay, the Ponce, through Ponce Healthcare System. Since we are affiliated with the university, okay, they will take in rotators, okay, in Puerto Rico and after Puerto Rico to mainland states, because they're also connected with other hospitals there. But of course, you need to pass your USMLE step 1, okay, with a good passing percentage, and also know Spanish. Now take note that in MD, from PM3 and all the way up to MDs, we have Spanish-speaking doctors, and Spanish is a language that is very, very easy to learn. Okay. Number 2, we can go through the Kaplan route. Okay. With the Kaplan, you do your reviews there. We have signed agreements with parties who will place our students in clinical rotations. Again, okay, it's all dependent on USMLE score, because if USMLE score is too low, no hospital will accept you. Number 3, okay, we are also working on partnership with other hospitals directly on a B1, B2 visa. Okay, wherein they can do their clinical rotations in the said hospitals. Okay, that I don't want to release the names yet because it is still under talks. We're very close to closing it out. So all of these options are available to our medical rotators. I'm sorry, for our US track. But please take note that it would entail a lot of hard work and dedication to get to that point.
Okay. We have Malika Ferron. She wants to know if the dormitory is a 1-person to a room. Maybe Christina can answer the question.
Catherine, what's a dormitory like?
4 persons per apartment.
I think you'll have to be a bit louder. I'm sorry.
Louder, louder, Catherine.
4 persons for the apartment. The apartment has 2 bedrooms, so
Okay.
each bedroom accommodates 2 persons.
Okay.
Okay, so it's an apartment, guys. An apartment with 2 rooms. Hello?
Yes, and Rachel wants to know if her credit can be accepted from a school in the Caribbean, but that question isn't quite clear. I'm not sure what her credit is.
Transfer, I think. Transfer.
Do you mean?
Which Caribbean?
I think
Which
she
Caribbean?
means,
Which Caribbean school would that be?
which Caribbean school would that be, Rachel? Okay, we'll wait for her to answer, but we'll move on to our next question. Sabir again wants to know if the clinical rotations in ACGME is approved US hospitals or not, and what are the list of hospitals provided by us? Because if it's not, it will affect the student's career. That's what he has to say.
It is accredited by the ACJB. It has to be a training hospital. Otherwise, they won't accept clinical rotators there.
Okay,
We have Cook County Hospital in Chicago. That is one. Right now it escapes me the name of the other 2, but we have 3 in total in the United States and of course in Puerto Rico. 1 in Puerto Rico.
And Abigail wants to know if, having studied at Texila, seeing that it is Caribbean based, would I still need to take qualifying exams to practice in Jamaica?
Okay, that's a good question. Now, Abigail, once we get our CAM-HP accreditation, no, you do not need to take the CAM-C examination to practice in Jamaica.
Right, and I think Shuyung Alexander wants to know if Wi-Fi is available to students.
Wi-Fi is a way of life here in Texila. Yes, even in the toilets, it's available.
Are the hostels on the campus or off campus? Nikila Forrester wants to know.
It's off campus and it's around 200 meters
Great.
from campus.
And Abigail would like to know, will I be accommodated at the hostel for both the years of study?
You are required to be at the hostel for the first 2 years. You can only really move out after when you're in your clinical rotations, but it's a requirement for you to be at the hostel.
And I think Malika wants to know if it's 100% sure that when she finishes studying at the university, she'll get a job.
Okay, I don't know any university in the world that offers that yet. Not even Johns Hopkins and UCLA or Rush or Stanford, will say you'll be getting a job once you finish. So it is highly dependent on the student, I'm afraid.
Great. And Nikila wants to know, after paying her seat deposit, is she guaranteed a seat at the university?
Okay, she still has to pass through the usual screening procedures, of course, and of course we also need to clear medical examination because, for example, if she's suffering from leukemia, I don't think she should be going to school right now. So it's not a guarantee that you will get into the institution, but it's a guarantee that you will be having a place. in the institution after you successfully hurdle the other obligations that you need to go through. That is mandatory.
All right. And I think typically we kind of offer an eligibility letter, and that eligibility letter will sort of guarantee the seat. I think she'll only have to pay for the seat deposit once the eligibility letter is given to the student. And I have a question here from Shuyung Alexander again. He asks, while you're doing the surgical residency programs, would you be able to work as a general medical doctor?
No, you will be tied up to the hospital doing surgery. Okay, you'll be paid a stipend by the hospital, and your time will be spent in the hospital under surgery. So no, that's why it is historically called residency training program. It's because back in the days you're required to live in the hospital.
And I have a question here, which is coming from Hani Wadvani. It's regarding a minimum eligibility of NEET to get admission to Texila. I think I'd like to answer that question, Hani. So, if you are eligible, if you've qualified, if you've scored at least 119 in NEET exams, then, yes, that means you're NEET qualified. Which means you can take up the India track, which means you finish your study at Texila and then come back to India and practice. But on the other hand, if you don't have the required NEET score, if you scored under 119, then you can always choose the US track, which means you finish your studies, you do your clinical rotations in the US. I hope that answers your question. But if you want to leave your number, then we can get our counselor to reach out to you and guide you further. Thanks. Emmanuel Coates, do we get the chance to pick which hospital we want to be assigned to?
Generally, no. You actually get assigned to the hospital where we have an agreement with. It's because they know that we have clinical faculty in that hospital and we have a working contract with that hospital. Now, if you just go to any hospital of choice, we cannot monitor your progress nor your medical education. That is why only some hospitals are accredited as training hospitals. So we may have two. However, when we place our students in clinical rotations, it is usually in order. Okay, so it depends on where you're placed and what available slots are there. For example, at the moment we've expanded our clinical rotations to New Amsterdam, a great new hospital we have there, and all the new, all our new MD4s shall be rotating there. It's the same experience across the board.
Okay. I have a question from Whitmoy Lawrence. He asks us if there's a gym, and if so, what is it like?
It's, again, 200 meters down the road, and it's world class. Sakti and I go to that gym. It's fully equipped with sauna, shower, okay, all the machines your heart can answer, a cycling room, aerobics room, okay, and a grocery and a Chinese restaurant just in the same area if you want to eat after you work out.
Okay.
It's a great gym. And we get a discount. There's a discount, by the way, for our students.
And what are some of the main rules that govern Texila? Malika Ferron would like to know.
That is a very general question. What are the main rules that govern Texila? I would say the laws of Guyana, maybe. So how do I answer this question? What exactly do you mean, Malika?
Okay, we'll move on to our next question. And are the dorms, Renisha John would like to know if the dorms are separated by gender and fully air conditioned?
Yes, the dorms are most definitely separated by gender and fully air conditioned. It's because we don't want our men being beaten up by the women. So We tend to set them apart.
And Joanne would like to know if the housing is free and if you have a choice of roommates.
The housing fees are actually incorporated into tuition fee. It's part of what you pay for.
Okay.
A choice of your roommates, I can't really answer that right now on how it goes.
Okay.
But it may be. I don't really see why not.
Okay, no worries. I think Joanne could leave her number and we could get in touch with her to answer any questions which are specific to the stay and hostel. I think Emmanuel would like to know how is the transportation from the hostel to the university?
Oh, you don't really need a car, or it's a very short. It's a short walk down the university. But if you really want to ride a taxi, it's like $200 GYD.
Okay. I think we 200 Guyanese dollars. Is that 200 Guyanese dollars, Dr. Jeff?
Yes, 200 Guyanese dollars. So that's like that is like 50 rupees.
Okay, so that's less than $1, less than $1 US.
No,
Yes.
that's like $3 US.
Okay, fair enough.
200.
No, sorry.
One.
It's just like $1 USD.
$1 US.
Yeah.
$1 US.
Okay. And Abhishek wants to know if after completing his medicine and PG course at Texila, if he can practice in America, and if there's any exam that he has to appear for to qualify after completing the PG.
Oh yes. What he needs to do is pass the USMLE Step 1, Step 2, and Step 3. Then he can practice in the US. So if he wants to practice in the US, it would be best for him to take the US track.
Fair enough. I think if you remember the question that we had from Rachel a little earlier, she asked if her credits will be accepted from a school in the Caribbean, and she is currently studying at the Bahamas Institute of Business Technology.
Okay, so what you can do is actually send us her credentials, and then we'll map it across our subjects to see, okay, what she lacks, or even to see if she can directly go into direct MD. Okay, so we usually work with these things on a case-to-case basis. I just like, however, to answer. I'd like to answer this question here. Where is it? There's something about the fee, Caribbean. Okay, so where is that? Okay, so for Guyanese students and for regional students, there is a discount, okay, that is available. So they should get in touch with the counselors to see how much it is.
Probably for the Caribbean students, the fees would be average, like say about $7,900 US per year. And we would also accommodate them with 6 months of free accommodation. And students would be given a preference after 6 months. Either they can continue with our hostel by paying, or they can also find a new, a place where they can stay. All right. So we advise the students to be with us at least for 6 months to understand the country, to understand the places and stuff like that. Predominantly, people from US or people from India and other countries, like except Caribbean, we provide a 1 year free accommodation. That's a part of the complimentary benefit. And after 1 year, if they want, they can continue hostel with us by paying, or they can find their own houses. Generally, most of the students after 1 year, they go along with their buddies and they find their own houses according to the comfort zone they find in place. Does that answer your question, Preeti?
Yes, I think. Thanks. I have Whichmore Lawrence asking if during the residency and the clinical rotations, is it guaranteed that our schedules will be hectic, or will we have limitations as to what we are allowed to do?
Okay, hang on. I'm just looking at it. During residency and clinical rotation, is it guaranteed that our schedules will be hectic, or we have limitations as to what we're allowed to do? Okay, so it is a guarantee that it will be hectic. It'll take up most of your time. And during clinical rotation, there would definitely be limitations to what you can do, because you cannot do open heart surgery if you're a student. Okay, you'll have to wait until you're in residency training. So what you can do is you can assist in open heart surgery, for example. Okay, there will be some procedures, of course, that will be reserved for fully licensed physician, obviously. Okay, but when it comes to being hectic, when it comes to being toxic, I can guarantee you that you may not even have enough time to scratch your head, because medicine is like that.
Great. And we have Bratz, who's asking us if you should be admitted to Texila with CAPE from Jamaica and should spend 5.5 years there. What is the tuition cost and accommodation cost?
All right. If somebody who have done their CAPE, they would be given an exemption. Instead of studying 5.5 years, they would be studying 4.5 years. And the fee would be, as I said, it would be on an average, like say 7,900 USD per year.
Okay, great. I think I'd like to answer this question from Sabir. He wants to know if a guy who's enrolled for MBBS US track without NEET eligibility and then finishes his post-graduation from the USA after his medicine course. In this scenario, will he be allowed to work in India without any further screening exams as the PGs from the US, and will it be acceptable in India? Yes, Sabir, you don't really have to write another exam after your PG in the US, and you can practice in India straight away without any screening exams. We have another question from Joanne. Are there summer programs for students who are interested to go back home during the summer break? Or are there any summer programs? How about students who want to go back home?
Okay, so as of now, there are no summer programs that are available because our semester are actually quite hectic and quite compressed, and the length of time you have on a vacation wouldn't really allow for that. Okay, so summer programs, there are some that are being offered elsewhere. They're welcome to go to take those summer programs. However, in the future, our the summer programs that we are coming up with will be aligned to the clinical practice. Like, for example, summer program on medical missions, okay, going into the interior. Okay, it's along those lines, and I've talked with organizations here in Guyana that are willing to partner with us. Okay, however, we still have to finalize this as it is something new. But it will definitely, there definitely will in the next ensuing semesters. So, but however, it means that they cannot go home. Okay, the summer programs are actually here in this school.
Great. And I think I have Alexandria who wants to know if I have 1 unit of CAPE, is it possible for me to study for 4.5 years?
So actually, for CAPE, you should complete the CAPE 1 and 2 and have assigned subjects. And depend upon that, once you fulfill the criteria, you would be able to offer 4.5 years.
And I think we have another interesting question from Alexandria. She asks if I've registered for the normal track, is it possible for me to change to US track?
Okay, it is possible to change to the US track, especially just during the first 2 semesters. But after the ensuing MD 3 and MD4, changing to the US track might put you at a disadvantage. It's because the US track students have a lot more access to, for example, the study materials that go along with the USMLE. Okay, so if she's not, if this student, if Alexandria decides to go to the US track at MD3 and MD4, it means she did not get the benefit of those additional material in MD1 and MD2. This would put her at a disadvantage. So yes, it is possible, but okay, I'm not really recommending it. If it's better to actually start off at the US track and then finding out, oh, US track isn't for me, then going back to the normal track. Does that answer the question?
I think yes, Dr. Jeff, thanks. I have Lee who asks, what are the chances of getting admission, but I'm going to ask her to leave the number and we can get our counselor to ring her because there needs to be done, there needs to be a long discussion to test her eligibility. But I have Sabir asked the same question again, if the accommodation for students are separate for girls and boys. Yes, Sabir, the accommodation is separate for all the girls and boys. This has already been answered. And Tashika Noad wants to know if the US track is more expensive than the normal track.
Yes, it is.
I think we have some more questions.
And before that you proceed, I just want to ask, is Malika Ferron already registered with us? Because I did notice that she left her phone number. So just want to ensure that if she is already registered, or if not, have my person to follow up with Malika.
Yes, Shakti, I think we asked her to leave her number with us because she had many questions. So we're just going to have to ring her and answer her questions.
Okay.
We have.
I guess she.
Sorry, we have a question from Mighty. He wants to know if USMLE is important to practice in South Africa.
Beg pardon?
Is USMLE important to practice in South Africa?
No, to practice in South Africa, you don't need the USMLE, but it is a distinct advantage.
What should be the marks in need for Indian student from Roma? Roma, you need to have at least 119 to qualify for NEET. That is if you want to come back to India and practice. But if you've scored under 119, then you can choose the US track, do your PG in the US, and yeah, you can take the US track. Do you want to leave your number with us and we can get our counselor to you? I think. Do you have any questions for the students, Dr. Or
No.
sorry, I just want to know if anybody from the audience has any questions for the students. I think they've been with us the entire session, so if anyone wants to ask any questions, they can. We have.
Yeah, not about question. I just want to inform to the entire students, like we have an intake which is coming on September 2018. So pretty much most of the students have done with the CXC and CAPE also, I believe, and I guess Indian students is also done with the exams and the NEET results. So if we could hasten the admission process, we can confirm the seats, because I also noticed another student asked that if I pay the seat deposit, will I get my admission confirmed? Yes, because since we are an international university and we have students from 60 different countries, we have limited seats being offered at the moment, and provided if you follow up with your respective counselors, and if you could send your documents so that we can fasten your admission and we can confirm the seats for this September 2018.
I think we can wind up the session, Dr. Jeff, and if there are any questions that's unanswered, then we can send them an email.
Okay. Okay.
Schedule time. Thank you for joining us today. It was a good session. I just want to know if you have anything to say to the prospective students. Or if Niharika and Christina wants to say anything to the students who are looking to join Texila.
Well, I'm excitedly waiting for their enrollment this coming September. I hope to see you soon.
Right. All right. Thanks, everyone. And have a great day to whoever is from the Caribbean, and good night to everyone from India. Thanks.
Okay, thanks. Good night. Bye.